Brought to you by Kellogg's, the folks who bring the best to you each morning. The widest choice of cereals in the forms you like best. Yours from Kellogg's of Battle Creek. Now let's all play What's My Line?
And now, tonight, starting their 11th year on the air, here is the award-winning panel of What's My Line. First, the popular columnist whose voice of Broadway appears in papers coast to coast, Miss Dorothy Kilgallen.
Last night, the famous theatrical club called The Lambs gave a testimonial dinner to an actor whom I consider, and I don't think anyone will contradict me, the greatest player of Gilbert and Sullivan in our time. And I'm very proud that he's sitting here on my left, Mr. Martin Green.
Thank you, Dorothy. And it's my great pleasure to introduce somebody whom you all know, who performed on Broadway in Once More with Feeling, The Home Show, and someone I'm very, very fond of indeed, Miss Arlene Francis.
And now sitting in for our dear vacationing Bennett Cerf is my own particular actor-producer, dear Martin Gable.
And across the floor, one of the most articulate men in television, Mr. John Bailey.
By reason of this chair, it falls to my happy lot to be, in a way, a spokesman for all of my colleagues on the panel, those who have with us tonight and those who have been with us through the years. I think many of you know that this is our 10th anniversary, our 500th broadcast. We began way back on February 2nd, 1950. And if you think about it, as all of us have, we feel that if it really is an anniversary and it calls for a celebration, we should give a party for all of you, because we should certainly not be here on this 10th anniversary if it wasn't for the support and affection we've had from our public. Thank you very much. And now I think it's only fair to tell Mr. Green that all these kind words don't mean a thing. We're going to get the panel tonight again if we possibly can. So welcome once more to What's My Line. And we'll be up to our old tricks very shortly. We'll also have a famous mystery guest before the panel a little bit later in the show. And we'll meet our first challenger after this word from Dennis James, speaking for Kellogg's. And now let's meet our first challenger. Would you come in and sign in, please? Don L. Brown. Right, sir? Where are you from, Mr. Brown?
I'm from Denver, Colorado, Mr. Daly.
Denver, Colorado?
That's right.
Well, that's a nice country to be from.
Thank you.
And I don't mean it the way it sounded, the old joke. I mean it's a nice country in which to live. And it's nice to have you with us. May I present the panel, Mr. Brown?
Thank you.
Brown panel, will you join me over here? Do you know how we keep score, Mr. Brown?
Yes, sir.
In that event, let's let the good audience here in the theater and those who are watching at home know exactly what your line is. Well, panel, we'll tell you that Mr. Brown is salaried, and let's begin the general questioning with Arlene Francis.
Well, Mr. Brown looks like a distinguished gentleman. Do you work for a non-profit making organization, Mr. Brown?
Yes.
That's pretty distinguished. Do you represent any branch of our government?
No.
That's not very distinguished. That's one down and 9 to go, Mr. Gable.
You work for a university, Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Is your job with the university require you to be outdoors often?
Sometimes.
Would you be in the general category of teacher at the university?
Yes.
Do you teach a non-academic subject?
Sometimes.
I don't know where I'm going, but I'm going.
You're going. But good, too, Mark.
Well, Mr. Brown's general, he looks like a clean-cut American university man.
Well, thank you.
Not talking, Mr. Brown. Have you anything to do with sports?
Yes.
Is your sport a seasonal sport?
No.
That's 2 down and 8 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Well, aside from the sport, Mr. Brown, do you teach something academic?
Sometimes.
Well, are we guessing the sometimes or the other?
Well, actually, what you get to here is that sometimes is a perfectly valid answer, and you will have to assume that there could be an academic cast to his overall responsibility.
I see. Are you...
I told you he was articulate, Dorothy.
I've known it for some years, John.
Beg your pardon.
Mr. Brown, is your work mental as well as physical?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it physical as well as mental?
Yes, ma'am.
Can the sport that you have some connection with be played indoors as well as outdoors?
Yes, ma'am.
Are implements used?
Sometimes.
Knives, guns, things like that.
Well, do you teach more, or are you connected with more than one sport?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh. Are you the head of a department?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you the head of the athletic department?
Yes, ma'am.
Medical education?
Actually, I'm going to throw these all over. I'm mad on the 500th broadcast. I think Mr. Brown will agree that you're so close now that it would be a little bit unfair to make them go to director of physical
I don't mind keeping on.
Well, actually, Martin, you started off brilliantly, and Dorothy has revealed it's director of physical education at Loretto Heights College in Denver. Mr. Brown was very generous to you because he actually is connected with Loretto Heights College, and on a technicality could have ruled out the university issue, I think.
Excuse me, but isn't Loretto Heights a girls' school?
It sure is. Thank you very much, Dorothy. That was our little surprise. We never got a chance to spring it, and I wonder if you have any words of wisdom to give us when you have this assignment as director of physical education at a girls' school. I think you could help us out. We all have problems with girls,
at all times.
you know.
Well, I can say, Mr. Daly, we don't have our problems in our school, but we do enjoy the work with the girls.
The girls have trouble concentrating now.
How's your football team?
We don't have a football
You don't have a football team? No, I think this is wonderful. Actually, Mr. Brown has got a degree in physical education. You also, I think, are studying for even more credits and acclaim in the field of physiology.
I'm laboring on a master's.
You're laboring on
at this
it.
time.
But he's happy, and we understand from the young ladies at Loretto Heights that they're happy, and everybody is much healthier than they've ever been before, so a great good has been achieved.
We're happy.
And you've been very good to join us on What's My Line. Thank you. Good to see you. Well, I must congratulate you, panel. That was a very brilliant beginning. Let's see what you can do with the second challenger. Will you come in and sign in, please? Thelma Wagner. Is that right? Miss or Mrs. Wagner? Mrs. Wagner, where are you from?
Hampton, Iowa.
Hampton, Iowa.
Right.
Very nice to have you with us tonight. May I
Thank you.
present the panel? Mrs. Wagner.
Mrs. Wagner.
Would you join me over here, please? Do you know how we keep score, Mrs.
Yes,
Wagner?
I do.
Well, if you know how we keep score, we'll let everybody except the panel know exactly what your line is. All right, panel, we can tell you that Mrs. Wagner is self-employed. And, Martin, I think you've earned the right to start this trip.
Thank you, John. Mrs. Wagner, I can assume that you're no relation to the mayor of our great city.
Right.
Is there a product connected with what you do?
Yes.
Is the product something that's indigenous to the great state of Iowa? Is it a farm product, for example?
No.
Small conference, if I may. Martin, we we want to be very fair. I would think perhaps indigenous might be too encompassing a term. But we would have to admit that it would be likely that the product involved here would be common to the state of Iowa, yes.
I see. Is the product grown rather than manufactured?
No.
That's 1 down and 9 to go, Miss Kilgore.
Is it manufactured out of anything that has ever been grown?
Yes.
Is it vegetable rather than animal?
Yes.
Does it grow? Does the part that is used in the manufacture of this product grow above the ground rather than underneath the ground?
Yes.
Would you consider it a vegetable rather than a fruit?
Yes.
Is it a vegetable which has color, a distinctive color, rather than something that comes in a variety of colors?
In other words,
I don't know what I'm talking about.
No, what you're actually getting at, does it have one color rather than a multiplicity of colors?
Yes, if I went to the vegetable store, would I expect it to be a certain color?
There are no green potatoes, in other words.
I think don't say things like that. Somebody will hear you.
I didn't hear it, whatever
Good,
it was.
fine. Well, you'd get a yes then.
Would it be green?
Green?
No.
No, that's right. That's 2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Green. Mr. White, Mr. Green.
It is.
By a strange coincidence.
It is a vegetable, and it is of one color, and it is manufactured. Is it manufactured for a specific use other than consuming edibly?
Yes.
Is it something that is manufactured for use for somebody other than human beings?
Yes.
It has to do with animals.
Yes.
Now, what sort of animals do they have on farms other than horses?
Dogs.
Dogs.
I'm a city boy.
Crocodiles, lions.
Let's take a plunge and say, has it something to do with horses?
Yes.
Any part of a horse's harness?
No.
No. 3 down and 7 to go, Miss Francis.
Well, I never saw a vegetable blanket.
I was including that in the
You mean somebody saw a vegetable blanket out there? Is it something that would cover a horse?
Yes.
Eddie
Well,
Arcaro.
would it be Eddie Arcaro? It is something other than a jockey, which also grows but not very tall. Would it be considered a blanket in any way?
Yes.
Now I have to decide what way it's considered a blanket.
Yeah.
No, it's not made. Martin wants to know if it's made out of potatoes, but I'm not going to ask that question. It's a vegetable blanket. Could we have a moment?
You may have 30 seconds per
Conference?
comment.
Yes, she did say it was a vegetable,
And
but in the manufactured
green.
form, it's other than edible. And it's
Yes.
used as,
Well,
it's used to cover a horse.
used to cover a horse?
Is hay ever used to cover a horse?
Of a sun helmet?
Hay? Could you make a hay blanket?
But do you-
Hay?
Do humans ever eat hay?
A corn blanket? Oh, please. I think I have
A
to.
sun blanket. You know,
Is it a
Bronze
vegetable that when in its manufacture, as you say, it's used to cover a horse, but could it in any other state be edible?
What?
By
No, that makes it 4 down and 6 to go.
Couldn't be
Mr.
more.
Gable.
Is
It's
the...
just a horse blanket, and we're making too much of it. It's a vegetable horse blanket.
No, you see, the initial question that raised the matter of the vegetable was Dorothy's question, was it vegetable rather than
Mineral.
mineral?
Yes,
So
that
that
you
it
would
was-
have to say it's
It
vegetable
was the
rather
broad
than mineral.
category, and then you went down to the specific of the
That's
vegetable,
right.
and you had corn
we left-
blankets, potato blankets, potato blankets. Heavenly days to Betsy.
John, what is it really made of?
Cotton.
Wool or cotton.
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 Well, cotton
I was
is not
thinking
indigenous to
actually
the
the
state of
sunblock,
Iowa.
No, but horse blankets are. And actually, I think indigenous...
I said cut.
Sorry. I think indigenous is perhaps too strong a term, but if common to the state of Iowa would be
Is
a horse.
there any...
John said that indigenous was not the right word, and don't you ever use it again. Naughty, naughty.
Well, I think I've only got one choice. It's the 500th broadcast. There it goes, all the way over. And, Mr. Wagner, we had a lot of fun. I hope you did.
Thank you. I sure enjoyed
And I think that everybody will be interested. Mrs. Wagner, you just sort of fell into making these blankets for horses and Shetland ponies, and now she's got a real business going from it. And I
Can't give us a tip, can you, Mrs. Wagner?
Sure.
Take the horse blanket off the horse before he races. That's Mrs. Wagner's tip for today. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank
Nice
you.
to
I
have you.
enjoyed
with us.
it.
We'll meet tonight's mystery guest in just a moment, but first, here is a word from our sponsor. Now we come to the special feature of our program, the appearance of our mystery challenger, for which my colleagues on the panel for all these years have been asked to blindfold themselves. So tonight, we won't change it. We'll ask them to blindfold themselves. Blindfolds all in place, panel?
Yes, John.
Fine. Would you come in, mystery challenger, and sign in, please? All right, panel, as you know, in the case of our mystery challenger, we go to a different form of questioning. You ask one question at a time, in turn, moving clockwise, and we'll begin with Dorothy Kilgallen.
Are you primarily famous for your work in the world of entertainment?
Yup.
Mr. Green.
You are a lady.
Yup.
Miss Francis.
Are you known for your work in pictures?
Nope.
1 down and 9 to go, Mr. Gable.
You're known for your work in the theater.
Yup.
Miss Kilgallen.
Have you ever been in the musical theater?
Yup.
Mr. Green.
Are you at present or likely to be shortly rehearsing for a musical coming into Broadway?
No.
2 down, 8 to go, Miss Francis.
Well, then, have you, in the last year, played in a musical on Broadway?
Nope.
3 down and 7 to go, Mr. Gable.
Have you, in the last 5 years, played in a musical on Broadway?
Yup.
Miss Kilgallen.
Are you a soprano?
Yup.
Mr. Green.
Have you, within the last 3 years, appeared in a musical play on Broadway?
Yup.
Miss Francis.
Have you appeared on television?
Yup.
Mr. Gable.
Have you got a current series going?
No.
That's 4 down and 6 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Have you now or have you ever had red hair?
No.
5 down and 5 to go, Mr. Green.
Would you have had blonde hair at any time?
If you'd
in a
wanted
musical
to.
play?
Have you hair?
Yup.
I'm assuming, Mr. Green, that when you use the word blonde here...
I mean real blonde.
Oh, you mean the real...
Raw
Well, that's
blonde.
fine. Thank you, Mr. Green. That's 6 down and 4 to go, if you mean real blonde, Miss Francis.
Are you best known as a singer rather than a dancer?
Yup.
Mr. Gable.
You sing blues often.
No.
7 down and 3 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Was she a soprano, did I?
Yes.
Yes, she is. Did you ever play in a musical written by Frank Lesser?
No.
8 down and 2 to go, Mr. Green.
Oh, dear.
Excuse me, may we have a conference?
You may have 20 seconds for a conference.
Do the other members of the panel agree with me that we have established she is not playing on Broadway now?
She is
Yes.
not playing on Broadway now,
Okay.
but has in the last
3 years. Was your last appearance on Broadway in a musical by Rodgers and Hammerstein?
No.
9 down and 1 to go, Miss Francis.
Oh, well, what about, were you in a musical written by Lerner and Lowe?
Yup.
Well, were you in...
Go ahead.
Were you in My Fair Lady?
Yup.
Are you Julie Andrews?
Mr. Green, I must say that in a way, this is a tribute to you. We felt that since you came from England to join us tonight, we should get another distinguished representative of the British Isles.
I couldn't wish for a nicer tribute.
And I'd like you to do a duet.
Tell it again, darling.
Tell it again, yes.
Yes. The one that Julie said we nearly did it. There was one left.
Oh.
Just one left.
We weren't really fair to them, though, were we?
Oh, I think so, because, no, Julie's worried about the question on a musical to come. Well, there is going to be a new musical in September, but...
We thought that was far enough away.
On the technicality that it's not really specifically in rehearsal now, I think the answer was very fair. I hope we didn't mislead you, Mark.
May I just say that I saw Miss Andrews in that really sensational television show, The Fabulous 50s, and you were enchanting in that.
Thank you very much.
Just lovely.
I think that is an opinion very widely held, and there's going to be another television special called the Bell Telephone Hour on another network the name of which we can't mention on this network because its initials are NBC, and Miss Julie's going to be on that, too.
John, I'd like to say that while I had the mask on, I was thinking, gee, this poor girl doesn't work at all.
Did it get the British accent at all?
Not at all.
It didn't. It was wonderful. Your yup
I was so nervous.
Dorothy?
I was just thinking that Professor Higgins did a wonderful job on her tonight because her American accent was perfect.
That was American.
Oh, it was beautiful. Yeah, it was just as American as it could be. And, of course, we do feel we kind of share an experience with you. All those wonderful years in My Fair Lady and on our 10th anniversary. Thank you, Miss
Thank you
Julie.
very
Wonderful to have you with us. We'll have another contestant after this word from our alternate sponsor. And now let us meet another challenger. Would you come in and sign in, please? This continuous celebration of our anniversary is very touching. Miss Judy Joy, is that right? And am I right that it's Miss Judy Joy?
That's right.
Miss Judy Joy. Where are you from?
New York.
New York. Fine. May I present the panel, Miss Joy?
How do you do?
You join me over here. Do you know how we keep score, Miss Joy?
Yes, I do.
All right, then we'll let the audience at home and our friends here in the theater know exactly what your line is. All right. Panel, we have some 2 minutes. I'll tell you very quickly that Miss Joy is self-employed, and let's begin the general questioning with Mr. Green.
Are you connected with a service?
Yes, I am.
Is it a profit-making service? Well, obviously, because you're self-employed. Is your service connected with, shall we say, humanity, medicine in any way? Such
No.
No, I don't think we can say yes to that, Mr. Green. Miss Francis?
Is there a product connected with what you do?
Sometimes.
Sometimes?
I would say here the service is more germane to what you're seeking than a product would be.
All right, John. It's not a horse blanket. No. Do you go places to do your job, whatever it is?
Yes.
Would you ever go to a studio to do your job?
No.
A photographic studio?
2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Gable.
Are you in the theatrical business?
No.
3 down and 7 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Do you touch people when you do your work?
Not
No.
as a necessary requirement. 4 down and 6 to go, Mr. Green.
Are you connected in any way with a recreational service?
No.
5 down and 5 to go, Miss Francis.
Do you do most of your work indoors?
No.
6 down and 4 to go, Mr. Gable.
Is your work physical rather than mental?
Yes, it is.
Has it to do with sports in any way?
There's a connection.
Yes.
There's a connection.
Are you a bodybuilder of any kind?
No.
No, and I'm sorry. This had to be a very quick one. It's a little bit offbeat. I thought you might get on the track, and I think you were beginning to get close. Miss Joy is a professional skin diver, does search, salvage, instruction, that sort of
500
thing.
miles, that's it.
That's pretty good. And skin diving is a fine sport. And with that, good night, Miss Dorothy Kilgallen.
Good night, John. Good night to Lee Belser and all the girls at the courthouse. See you tomorrow. Good night, Morton.
Good night, Dorothy. Good night, Arlen.
Good night, Martin. Good night, Bennett and all the girls at the courthouse. Good night, Martin.
I beg your pardon.
Good night, John.
Good night, Martin. And Bennett down there in Jamaica, happy anniversary to you. And happy anniversary to everyone. And thanks for being with us on What's My Line.
What's My Line is a CBS television network production in association with Mark Goodson and Bill Cotton.